Cecilia, Sarah, hey, congratulations on this
You.
documentary. You were my first boyfriend.
Thank you. It's so good to be
Nice.
here.
I know I watched it. It's such a fun documentary, but we have to hear it first. Is what actually sparked this documentary in the first place?
Sure. Well, I started this project right around the 20-year mark outside of high school. My 20th high school reunion was in 2017, and as that started coming up, the prospect of that event, along the same times, I discovered this diary that I had kept when I was 14 about this boy that I had this sort of borderline obsessive unrequited crush on, and all of these memories started not even bubbling up, just coming up very viscerally. And I was reliving all of the things that I went through as a teenager, and really filled with an immediate sense of dread. Like I like to say, I think I'm part of the Over My Dead Body Club, which is the people that would absolutely under no circumstances go to their high school reunion. And that became very interesting to me. That how intense those feelings were. I was like, well, what do I do with them? I thought I got over this. I thought I reinvented myself. I thought I was, totally past this. And it was so clear that I wasn't. And so then I asked myself, well, what if I actually did? What if I forced myself to go back? And so the movie goes back in two different ways, in more ways than one. I go back in my real life. I did go to that 20th high school reunion and filmed it, and I sat down with the boy that I had the crush on, etc. But also at the same time, I was really interested in these memories and the hold that they were having on me, the kind of nightmare scenarios I was reliving. And so I thought, what if I actually relived those memories? And so we reenacted those, some of the key experiences that I was haunted by. And I play myself as a teenager and everybody else as a teenager, except for me. And yeah, so that was the beginning of it all.
Most wonderful here. Sarah, could you tell us about the approach of directing a hybrid form of both documentary and narrative at the same time?
Yes. Well, I think, Cecilia and I have some fiction experience and also doc. Cecilia has lots of doc experience. So, but we, this is a little bit of an experiment. So we planned as much as we could, and we scripted all of the reenactments and in much more of a traditional fiction script. But as much as possible, we planned for what we anticipated might happen in the doc side of things behind the scenes as Cecilia was going through these experiences, but there was a lot that we didn't know. And so I will say, I think one of the early challenges was that you have this documentary crew and you have this fiction crew, and everybody has to work together and everybody has to realize, like, this is a different kind of schedule. And there's sometimes unexpected things that come up. So I think, I think it was scary for us. It was stressful, because that's a lot to handle at once. And for Cecilia to be actually in the film and directing the film, that's huge. It's a huge responsibility. So I think, all things considered, I think it went amazingly well. And that's also a huge credit to the crew, who finally came on board and understood, okay, this is a different thing that we're doing. This is an experience that's happening in real time, like, that's the documentary part. Like, we're filming these scenes, these fictional scenes, but Cecilia is embodying these memories and having, go revisiting these sites in real time. And so we had to make room for the emotions that came up. We had to make room for throwing out scenes that we didn't feel like were necessary anymore. So there was a real fluidity. And yeah, I mean, there was like a green screen scene that we never planned, but we were rained out. So we were like, we're going to do it this way now. And again, like, our crew, our producer, just thank God for them, because they really had our backs. And then all of the actors that we were working with, they were always kind of like, how does this all go together? They really didn't know, but they trusted us and they went along for the ride, and they were so generous. So I don't know if I'll ever have an experience like this again. And I also have to give so much credit to Cecilia for trusting me to be behind the camera while she was being so vulnerable on camera. So I don't know. It was wild, but somehow it happened.
Cecilia, how do you convince yourself every single day of this production to be in front of the camera? Most documentary filmmakers don't like to be in front of the camera. So
No.
how do you do this, and how do you live with yourself trying to reenact, some of these tough memories?
Mhm. Well, I think it taught me a lot about what we documentary filmmakers actually ask of our protagonists. There's an extreme vulnerability and a lot of generosity that people who participate in documentaries that so I have a much deeper empathy for the folks that I've collaborated with over the years. I will say that this is a big part of the reason why Sarah was so instrumental in the process. I could not have done this on my own because it's really hard. I mean, again, I came to this with no fiction background whatsoever. So it's not even like I'm used to directing actors and suddenly I'm in my own movie playing myself. And it's not like a traditional scripted film where I'm playing somebody else. I'm playing myself and I'm actually reliving these things. So it was actually incredibly challenging. And there were, I think it required a lot of stamina from all of us. But I also think at a certain point, we just surrendered. It was a choice that I made to do this and to put myself through this. And I have a great therapist, so that was really helpful. But I think I also, like Sarah, have to really credit everybody else who was around to support us, because and HBO, who supported the film and really understood what we were trying to do, because no, it wasn't an easy film to make in a lot of ways. And but I will say I'm grateful for the experience, not just because I'm happy with the film, but because I'm happy with myself. I think that making the film really made it possible for me to reconcile a lot of the painful things that I started with.
That is true. I'm going to ask Sarah this, but Cecilia, you could jump on board at any time. Sarah, how do you direct a director? I mean, it's obviously, this is Cecilia's story, but how do you handle this?
Well, I think we had also a really unique situation because we had written all of this together and we had been, it just had been the two of us for many months conceiving all of this. So it was kind of, our minds could be like put out there. And so I think I was oftentimes the only person maybe on the set who could anticipate maybe her needs or knew what the vision was. But again, it was definitely about trust. So this is on Cecilia's part, trusting me. And she would watch the playback and and like make sure she felt okay with it. But also you have to keep in mind that she was like, it required a lot of her to be in the headspace to revisit and basically like return to these sites of various ages of adolescence. And it's a lot of pressure. You have to like keep a schedule. You have to, so I think there were a lot of times where she would be like, is that good? Did we get it? So I don't know how it would have been if I had just walked onto the set and we didn't have that whole experience, that sort of bonding experience of writing this project together. So I can't say. But I think that was part of it, that it was really instrumental, is that we had basically been like talking about our joint like adolescent experiences for so long that we were both really going through this together.
Most excellent. And Cecilia, after going through all of this, what is the most important thing you learned about yourself?
Oh gosh, I would say there was a young girl in one of the scenes that we shot, this dance scene. We cast these two girls as these young goths, and one of one of them was wearing a t-shirt that says "Stay Weird," and this is something that was just popped into my head just now, is that I would say stay weird is probably the thing that I learned the most. I spent a lot of my time, I wasted a lot of my adolescence trying to hide my weirdnesses rather than embracing them. I was really trying to assimilate both culturally and personally. I was trying to fit in, I was trying to belong, I was trying to be cool, I was trying to be like everybody else. And, you know, I realize now that some of the best things about me are the ways in which I'm different. And so making this film with a bunch of weirdos and you know, really celebrating weirdness and difference is something that I'm really, really grateful for.
Most excellent. This film is very enjoyable. I personally especially enjoy the Tori Amos recreation. Only because I was watching like this, I was going, "Oh wow, this is just bringing out high school, college memories." Oh, this nostalgia that you brought along with it with this. So, Sarah, Cecilia, thank you very much for carrying this conversation about the documentary "You Were My First Boyfriend." This is a wonderful documentary added to the HBO Films documentary. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.